Hi there. Happy New Year. So I actually haven't posted a video in a while. I haven't really felt like it, obviously. Um, Kind of made a little change to my setup here. Moved rooms. This one's a lot nicer. Um, Been kind of busy over the holiday period. But the comments kept kind of stacking up, and I had a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about, but I figured I'd do like a Q&A type thing. Because I know a lot of people were asking questions that I normally would have answered, so I figured I'd just do it now in like its own little video. But the first one, do I ever find when I want to avoid feelings that I avoid music? I'm gonna say no because I never am like avoiding feelings. It's not something that it's not like an act of like, oh, I'm gonna feel angry, so I try not to. No, you never avoid feelings. In fact, the whole point of or the whole idea about being a schizoid is that you don't understand them. You're trying to understand them. You don't really comprehend feelings. So I don't say you can't really avoid something that you don't understand or that you can't comprehend. You don't know much about it. So I'm going to say no, and especially as far as avoiding music, no, I'll never really avoid music, only certain types of music. The second one, do I ever feel any different towards animals? So this question is kind of different. I've kind of evolved, if you will, from when I was a kid to where I am now. So when I was young, really young, I used to be very violent towards animals. I could have a BB gun and I would shoot my dog, and it would yelp or whatever from the pain. Obviously, I felt nothing. I didn't care. Um, I wasn't affected in any way. I had no idea why I did it. I just did it. Seen the dog, shoot it. I don't know why. Uh, got no pleasure from it. Just wasn't really affected negatively or positively. I guess maybe it was just trying to see how I would react, kind of thing, to myself. But there was a time I had this pet mouse, and I feel awful to this day. It's a really sensitive subject for me, but I had this little mouse, right, and it was the cutest little thing. But I tortured the thing. It was like a Saw movie. The things I would do to this little animal. I had this little like wicker cup. It was kind of wavy along the top, along the ridge. It was wavy. So I put the mouse in the cup, right, and I would turn it over on our coffee table, and I would just shake it back and forth, right. And I see its arms come out and be rolling back and forth. Obviously, it broke all of its limbs multiple times. And I would do this all the time. Like I would do it and then put him back in its cage. Wait for him however many weeks it took. He'd start walking around again, and I'd do it again. It was awful. It was horrible, and I used to think. Like I had no idea why I would do those kinds of things. I mean, the mouse, like, after the first few times, had no fur on any of its arms because I I mean, obviously what was happening to it. But I remember one day I had lost it. Like, I don't know if it got out or if I was playing with it one day and I lost it. I can't remember what happened. Somehow I lost it. The cage was empty, and I was actually upset about it. I mean, I was pretty sad. I was really sad. I had some weird demented attachment to this thing, and I'd had it for a while. And I remember one day I was cleaning my room. It was like a month later. I was cleaning my room, and I'd found it in my closet. I was taking out some clothes, and I found it in my closet. And I remember feeling just so excited. I got so happy. It was like, I don't know, my kid just came home or something. I don't know. And I put it in its cage. I remember I cared for it. I babied it so hard. I mean, I took care of it. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was so excited to have it back, and I did everything I possibly could for it. Yeah, I had it. Um, but it seems like after that event, I always had like an affinity for animals. I really liked them, and it always seems that they really liked me. The most vicious dog or whatever seemed to like be okay around me, and I would always have a really good, like, a green thumb with animals, if you will. I don't know what they call that, what the word is I'm looking for. But yeah, I had a really strong attachment to animals. I mean, occasionally I'd get like bloodthirsty, whatever, and I'd go shoot a bird with my BB gun, and I'd cry over it for a couple weeks, and then, but I remember one time I was out shooting or trying to shoot birds with my BB gun, and I remember I shot one, and I was trying to learn how to clean them, whatever, because my dad was into hunting, and one of my brothers was into hunting, and they would shoot pheasants all the time, and I was trying to learn how, and I was out by myself one day, and I shot a bird, and I was trying to clean it. There's a trick where after you've shot a bird, you lay it down and you stand on its wings, right, and you pull its legs. It's supposed to pull the legs off, right? so you have just the torso left, and it's easier to clean and all that kind of stuff. But I did it wrong. I can't remember if I stepped on too deep into the wings or whatever, but I pulled the bird in half, and it disgusted me. It kind of scarred me, so I never really hunt anymore. I never really shot any other animals, never did anything like that. So then I was completely, I had a really strong attachment to animals. Like, I wouldn't even shoot birds with a BB gun. I had one, but never really used it. And stuff like that. Like, I was to the point where I would stop the lawnmower and let a grasshopper go by before I continued. You know, I was pretty attached to animals, if you will. So if I ever felt different towards animals, I'm not really exactly sure what you were asking. But, I mean, I've felt differently towards them throughout my life. Right now, I have no real feelings towards them at all. I don't think... I mean, I would like to have a pet again. I'd like to have another dog or maybe some mice or something, you know. But I don't think I'd be able to take care of them with the way that I am. I'd either forget or just not want to go out of my way to feed them, take care of them, you know. So I just don't think I'm the best suited to handle something like that. So I don't have any pets. But that's kind of how I feel about that whole subject. The next one, it says, can I ask, do I follow Jesus? It's kind of a tough one. I can't say I don't believe in any religion, but I don't disbelieve in any religion. I'm not really against any religion or against any beliefs. You can believe what you want. It's a free country. I just don't actively follow or believe in anything like that. Most of my mental involvement is with my own life, what I'm doing. You know, I think about what I'm going to make for dinner or what I'm going to put on, you know, clothes-wise that day. I don't really think about any of this other stuff. I mean, if that's something you're into, great. I'm personally not. I'm also a firm believer, and that I will never fill another man's shoes. I know the whole story. He's supposed to have set the example, something that all of us are trying to emulate, which I understand. It's always good to have a role model of sorts, but I will never try to fill another man's shoes. I'll fill my own shoes, make my own path, you know. But it's not wrong or bad to look to anybody that you look up to as an example of, you know, how you want to live your life. Like I said, it's a free country. You do what you do. But I personally I don't read the Bible or anything. I did when I was a kid. I've read it a couple times. Church and all that stuff had to go. I grew up in a family of Jehovah's Witnesses. They went to church like 3-4 times a week. I mean, yeah, it was awful for someone like me. But I've been involved in that culture. I'm not against it, like I said. But no, I don't personally follow Jesus. I'm not very religious or anything like that. The next question I have, do I ever feel confused, like I don't know who I really am and just dissociate myself from the world? It's kind of a multiple part question. So the first part, do I ever feel confused? No. I always understand where I'm at, what I'm doing. Even when I'm completely drunk, I know exactly what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling. Like I know where I'm at. I know where I stand in the spectrum of things. I know... You know, I'm never really confused about anything. So, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking with that question, but there's not much that I'm really confused about life, you know, as far as where I am and where I stand. But the not knowing who I am and disassociating myself, those both, the first part, not knowing who I really am, that's kind of a tough question to answer because I know who I am. Like, I know what I want and what I don't want, what I like and don't like. If that's what you're asking, then yes, I know who I am. But as far as it's kind of hard to answer because I'm different around different people. I'm different around different groups of people, and that's, you know, how I've talked about it before. With the way that I am, I adapt to fit into wherever, you know, I'm located at the time. And when I'm in my room by myself, there's nothing to emulate really. I'm just laying there as me. And I feel like if I was to look at myself, I would be bored out of my mind because I'd just lay there and do absolutely nothing or just play video games, you know, stare at the screen for a long time, occasionally make YouTube videos. So that's kind of a tough question to answer. Sometimes I can't really say that I don't know who I am because I always know, like I said, I'm not really confused. I always know where I am and what I'm doing. So I wouldn't really say that I don't know who I am, but I wouldn't say that I could describe who I am very easily anyways. But dissociating myself, I have talked about this before, and I've talked about the whole maladaptive daydreaming, and I don't really think about it, or I believe in it. But that I'll say yes to, and I think even a lot of people who don't have any other real issues have the same. It's not a problem, but a lot of people do it. They have these fantasy lives that they think about and go to. When you're not getting what you need or what you want or anything like that, your brain kind of creates a place where you have these things. So yeah, I definitely dissociate sometimes, but everybody does. It's not an unfair question, considering the topic we're talking about, especially. But yeah, I definitely dissociate sometimes, especially when I'm here by myself, like in my room by myself. You know, I do a lot of stuff like that. Go to your happy place, if you will, in your mind. You know, so. But like I said, a lot of people do that. Everybody does it. So yeah, I definitely say that happens. But those are just a few questions that I found that I kind of thought would be interesting to answer. If you guys want to ask any more questions, feel free. I might do another Q&A video anytime soon. But Happy New Year. I hope to be posting more because it's a new year. I do have a lot to talk about. I have a couple of videos that I want to make. But thank you guys for asking questions and stay active.